Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, did you talk to people about any of the snow events we had this winter? Did you say something like, we had a lot of snow? Or maybe you might have said, we had a storm. But did any of you say, we were buried by a blinding blizzard? Each one of those comments has increasing impact in it. And did you notice I even threw in an alliteration, buried by a blinding blizzard? Words wield powerful impact in our speeches. They also wield a powerful impact when we're in meetings, when we're chairing meetings, when we're delivering reports and other communication that we engage in. So my challenge to you is to think of the things I'm going to tell you today and pump up that impact in the words that you use. A lot of people think that using big words makes them sound smart, but that's not really always true. Plain language is where it's at. This applies whether you're giving a speech or whether you're in a meeting. The words you choose can lead to greater clarity or to confusion. Don't use technobabble and don't use obscure words thinking they're going to make you look smarter. To pack the strongest punch, use words that are precise, clear, and vivid. Use descriptions to help make a point and to help create a rich image of what you're saying to your audience. Some words are vague and indistinct, while others are crisp and specific. Examples of vagueness might be, I liked your speech. It was good. To be more specific, though, you might say, I liked your speech. I found that your vivid word usage made me feel like I was right there with you on your vacation. Also try using action words. You could say that I hiked to the top of the hill. But what would happen if you chose instead to say, I dragged myself, gasping for breath, to the top of the hill on the narrow path? One choice is okay, but the other choice adds punch to the words that you're delivering. Consider also your audience. When speaking to a group that have a common language, such as a group of professional peers, for example, you can be able to use vocabulary that's specific to that group. But if you're speaking to a group of people who you don't know, a group of people who have many different backgrounds and understanding of words, you're going to have to adjust your vocabulary to support their understanding of your speech. When you're writing your speech, I encourage you to edit your words. Edit it to look for opportunities to tune up your word usage. Descriptive words are great enhancements to any speech. For example, instead of saying the trees were in bloom, you could consider saying pink blossoms surrounded by vibrant green leaves fill the branches of the trees. When I hear that, I'm evoked with pictures of cherry blossoms in Vancouver or Japan. But if I just said the tree was in bloom, you probably wouldn't be having those same images in your mind. Also, you should avoid using filler words. There are some things you can do to do this. 4 points that you might want to consider are, first of all, embrace the pause. Most public speaking experts will tell us that a pause is preferable to using words like and so, the things that we call filler or crutch words. The first thing you could do is think about the benefits that a pause has. It engages the audience, it creates suspense, it gives you a chance to recall the words that you were going to say. And when you're tending to speak fast, a pause can slow you and your speech down. And when you are saying and you're not sounding terribly credible. So the pause can add to your credibility as a speaker. The second thing that I've already mentioned is slowing down. Often when we're nervous, our mouth is moving faster than our brain. And our brain hasn't formulated all the things it wants to say, but our mouth wants to move. And when there's nothing coming from here to your mouth, there's nothing left to do, you think, but to say, and so just take a pause. The audience will wonder what's coming next. The third thing is to make your point. When speakers don't have a point, or when they don't know their points, they're inclined to ramble. And when you don't know exactly what you're going to say, again, you might use filler or crush words. And the last thing on the list that I'm giving you here is when you're nervous or when you're anxious, sometimes you don't like the sound of silence. And silence seems to be interminable when it's only a few seconds. And to break that feeling of uneasiness, you start to say ahs, ums, and ands. Practicing then mitigates that. It makes sure that you know what your points are and when you're going to say them and how you're going to say them, which this no longer necessitates the use of crutch words. You become a confident speaker and someone who knows what they're going to say. When we talk about practice then, we know that we have lots and lots of opportunities in our lives to practice. I'm sure you can think of some of them. If I said, what are you going to do at work today? How can you impress somebody with your word usage at work today? What about your kids? Instead of saying, Daddy's not happy, you might say, Daddy's annoyed at you. Same impression, better words perhaps. In Toastmasters, we practice it during our meeting roles, we practice prepared speeches. There's all sorts of other places you can practice. The opportunities, as I've said, are everywhere. I encourage you to expand your word choices, and ultimately, you'll improve your message because words yield powerful impact. Mr. Toastmaster.